So how long is this journey going to be? Han asked her. Looking at him with astonishment, Ellie asked, You are just asking this now? I would think that this would be something you would ask before we left. Shaking her head, as if to say that she wasn't surprised, Ellie answered, It will be a month of traveling. We will be southwest for some time and eventually leave the kingdom. Cutting through the Elven Kingdom will allow us to go around the Great Desert to the south of the kingdom. Afterward, we will enter the sinking swamp and reach the ruins that are deep inside of it. Once we enter the sinking swamp, we will need to leave behind all of our gear that we cannot carry. As you can tell by the name, the swamp will swallow anything heavy like a wagon. I hope you two are not afraid of getting dirty, because we will need to wade through the swamp, which is about waist high. I think we'll be fine, he said, smiling. Placing his hand on her waist, Han guided Celestra back to where his companions, along with Celine and Lydia, were waiting. The sisters started to set up their tents, with his companions assisting them. With Han's ability, there was no need to worry about setting up a tent. Arriving at a place he thought provided enough room, he imagined a large tent that would have enough room for his companions and Celestra. This time, Han made two separate bedrooms instead of the usual one. He pictured plenty of comfortable furniture filling the inside of the tent. Even if they were only going to spend one night, they didn't need to live in squalor. While the outside of the tent was black, the inside had a myriad of colors. Celestra gasped when she saw the inside. Even though it was only a tent, it could compete with a royal palace. Glad to see that you enjoy it. Instead of having your own tent outside, I thought you would appreciate staying in this environment, he whispered into her ear. Celestra remained speechless as she looked around. His companions followed after him into the tent. Each part of the tent had an area that his companions enjoyed. There was an area dedicated towards Brittany's interest in art, filled with various tools and supplies. Inspired by Brittany's artwork, he created a large museum in the center of the city near the stronghold. There, they held art competitions and displayed pieces created by Brittany and citizens of the city. The creation of the museum was appreciated by everyone and led many to follow an interest in the field. He made sure to create golems that were well versed in teaching about art in schools, so those that had the interest had plenty of opportunities. Though art never led to a direct economic result, with the insight, when creating the city, people would be able to pursue a field without needing to stress about whether they could provide for their family. Han could only imagine how much of an impact his city would have. For Queen, Han provided an area where she could design new weapons and maintain them. With her being a battle maniac, Queen enjoyed pursuing the field of arms development. She was constantly developing new weapons, whether for individuals or armies. Han would often see her sharpening her weapons or designing new ones. Anaklis and Rasia developed an interest in music. With Anaklis, she started to teach herself how to play a harp. Rasia discovered that she enjoyed singing. For anyone entering their domain, they would be entranced with an ethereal voice and harp that seemed to drift throughout the jungle. Sometimes, Han went into the jungle and had them lull him to sleep. Being sisters, it wasn't surprising that they enjoyed something similar to one another. Master, what would you enjoy for dinner tonight? Brittany asked him. Have the chef prepare me a steak and an assortment of seasonal vegetables. Make sure to tell him to make the steak a medium rare. Biscuits and butter would pair nicely with it too, he ordered. Looking at Celestra, Han asked, Is there anything that you would enjoy eating? What kind of food did you guys bring? She asked, sounding a little confused. Brittany giggled at Celestia's confusion. We have the chefs in the stronghold prepare the food and have the waitresses bring them to us. How could we possibly bring such a variety of food, considering how Master has a wide interest in food preparations? You are able to bring food from outside? Celestia was truly startled by this news. Looking patiently at Celestia, Brittany said, How could we do any less with the ability that Master has? She phrased it as something not worth thinking about, and as such an obvious fact. Celestia appeared to have a difficult time digesting this information. Han understood that magic in this world was advanced, but compared with his power, it was overshadowed. The chefs are very talented, so do not feel constrained in your request. He tried to gently guide her back out of her stupor. I don't know, she stuttered. Smiling understandingly, Han said to Brittany, Have them prepare barbecue beef short ribs, along with an assortment of side dishes and lettuce for wraps. Yes, Master, Brittany said, before disappearing back to the stronghold to oversee his order. Sitting down on one of the couches, he gently pulled Celestia to indicate she should have a seat. She leaned against him, still a little dazed. Are you alright? He asked. Holding her with his left arm, he gently massaged her upper arm. I never realized how much power you had, she murmured, her head resting on his chest. Is that an issue? He asked. She shook her head. Knowing that someone is powerful is very different from actually seeing it, Celestia stated. Seeing that she was still holding on to the rose, he thought for a moment about getting her something to keep. Concentrating for a bit, Han created it. A screen popped up with the word Sentimental Ring. This ring was created to store important mementos while allowing the wearer to view the object without placing it in harm's way. The user only needs to hold an item of a considerable emotional value and will it into the ring. Once the item is inside the ring, the user only needs to hold the ring in front and picture the image. The object will be displayed for the user to view. Decorated with a princess-cut diamond with a white gold band, an accessory that would steal the breath from any woman. Holding the ring in between his index finger and thumb, he casually moved so that he was facing Celestia. Instead of holding onto the rose, how about you store it inside of this? He presented it to Celestia. She looked at him with a shocked expression on her face. Gently, Han took her right hand and held the ring in front of her ring finger. He could feel Celestia's hand start to tremble. Gently, he slid the ring onto her ring finger, and then let her hand go. Even without him holding her hand, it stayed in the same place as where he raised it to. It looks beautiful there, he whispered. Her voice trembled and overflowed with emotion. Do you hate it? Han asked her. She frantically shook her head. I have never seen anything so beautiful. She raised her head, and her lips trembled into a smile. There were many emotions that were dancing on her face. With this, you can place the rose inside of it and look at it whenever you want to. I did not want to give you a simple ring to wear, so I wanted to make something that reflected the person you have become ever since becoming an adventurer. Initially, you may have been an individual that was arrogant and apathetic towards those who are of a lower social standing, but you are now a completely different woman. He raised both of his hands and cupped her face. Tears were streaming down her cheeks as she listened to his words. She was only able to nod her head at what he was saying, as she was too overcome with emotions to voice anything.